and good evening. I'm Melisa Idris.
And I'm Sharaad Kuttan.
You're watching Consider This, the show where we want you to consider and then reconsider what you know of the news of the day. Now, the population and housing census is conducted across the country once every 10 years. The idea is for official data from the census to be used to inform how billions of ringgit in government funding will be spent each year and help fuel research about issues and communities for the next decade. But how true is that? Joining us on the show tonight to share more about the importance of census data being as complete and accurate as possible, we have Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Uzir Mahidin. He's the Chief Statistician at the Department of Statistics Malaysia. Good evening, welcome to the show. Now, as we understand it right now, the second phase of the Census 2020, the face-to-face interview portion with enumerators, all of that's been rescheduled to January of next year because of the recent spike in COVID-19 cases. So I understand that the e-census portion has been extended till the end of the year. Now, Uzir, if you may begin by kind of telling us what challenges the Department of Statistics faces in terms of census taking within a year of a pandemic.
Thank you, Malaysia, and Mr. Sharaad, thank you very much for having me. Actually, this year is really a challenging year for all of us in terms of how to carry out the national census, the state census, and I think this is the first time that the census has to be rescheduled for a second time. Originally, we planned to conduct the census in July, from 7 to 24 of July. So because of the pandemic, the government agreed that we put the census in two phases. The first phase is from July 7 and up to the 30th of September, and the second phase, face-to-face interview or visit, will be carried out from 7th of October until 24th of October.
Uzir, can I ask you if this postponement will any way affect the quality of the data and its use in the future?
I think this is something that we really think that the census is not is about the in terms of the data generated for the census is not something that we worry about the quality, because important thing is the census, we need the participation from all our resident Malaysian and non-Malaysian who reside in Malaysia. As far as the quality is our concern, is if we can get participation 100% and everyone participate and judging from the question we put in this census is very straightforward. So everyone
is the target. Uzir, is the target 100% participation? I mean, I understand that you're looking at 32.7 million responses. How far have you gotten in terms of achieving that target? How many have responded to the e-census so far?
So far, we received about 12%. Total population already participate is about 3.6 million population across the country. And the highest numbers from Putrajaya, about 65%, followed by Perak, Johor, Selangor, KL, and other states. And among the lower states participated in the census at the juncture are Kelantan, Pahang, and also several states like Kedah and also Sabah.
So you want to make sure that it's across the board, and I'm wondering how the digital component of e-census is going to be challenging for some people. Even those who have shown initiative to take the e-census online are saying that there are issues of website too slow, server down, cannot submit reply. How are you going to encourage 100% participation if those who are already taking it have feedback that it's quite challenging to do it online?
We admitted that during at the end of the first phase, originally scheduled until 30th of September, we received a lot of people that participated during the very last minute. So during that period, it's very clear that we have very heavy traffic in filling up the e-census, and with the extension given up to 31st of December, we believe that we can mitigate the problem, and our technical team also, we now work very hard to resolve some of the technical issue, and of course among the feedback we got is the time that to be for the people to receive the invitation code. So
Uzir, can I ask you about, you mentioned earlier, the question of targets, and we're talking about that. What about rural populations, Malaysians who dwell in forests, our tribal population, as well as, the non-citizen population, especially those workers from foreign countries who number in the millions? How are you dealing with those components of the community?
For the community that, for example, foreign workers, they also included in the census, and we also engage with their employer, and we also know that where they are live, and actually for those that not participate in the census, we will carry out the face-to-face interview. So we visited their places in the second phase in January next year. But our focus at the moment now is on how we can increase the level of e-census participation in the urban area and also sub-urban area. So we do a lot of initiative. We reach the community leader, and how we can really assist, especially for older generation. We found that they have difficulty to fill up the form. We know that not all our people are IT savvy.
Right.
So we bring the facility on technology on the e-census kiosk to the community on the ground at the area where we think that we can receive a lot of participation.
Sorry to interrupt you again, but I do want to ask about the design of this census, and I think it's quite interesting. Could you let us know what questions, I understand 108 questions in this census. What's different in Census 2020 versus Census 2010?
I think this census is very much different in terms of number of questions. We have, in terms of number, huge numbers. Compared in 2010, we have only about 50 questions. Now we have 108. And why we require a lot of questions this time around? Because the focus of the country are very much different. We want to enhance whatever we have right now, and we want to see how the social, the well-being of the people can be improved further. Among the areas that we put in this question about the security, on the facilities, health, education, on the disability, and in terms of our readiness to face as an aging society. A lot of questions in this time around is focused on the soft thing, on the well-being, and on the people. So, for example, we want to know how many people that have to compute a long way from their home to their office to their the place of their work. It is something that is not in this in the previous census, and of course other thing in terms of the distance to the other facilities such as the sport activities, recreation facilities, and of course we want everyone to have the security. So we also put about how they feel safe living in their area.
So a lot to cover in the census. Hopefully people will go through all 108 questions. We're going to take a quick break, but please stay on the line. We've got to come back and continue this conversation. We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome back to Consider This. If you've just joined us, you're watching me, Melisa Idris, as well as Sharaad Kuttan. We're speaking to Datuk Seri Dr. Uzir Mahidin, Malaysia's Chief Statistician. He's on the show tonight. Dr. Uzir, I want to move the conversation to the use of data from the Department of Statistics. Now, I'm hoping that you could help address some concerns in terms of data collection and transparency. And that was raised by multiple quarters. I think one of them was Philip Alston when he was the UN Special Rapporteur on Poverty. Some of the things that were raised was quite, critical. It says that it does not appear that important data is being collected. That was one of the criticisms. The other was that data available cannot be disaggregated. And to quote him, that statistics are carefully managed and presented in a way that often obscures crucial details, end quote. If I may get you to respond to that, coming into Malaysia, looking at some of the data that's not available, how would you respond to those criticisms about Malaysia's openness and transparency of data?
Thank you, Melissa. I think this is something that I really think is very important for all us. I think the statistic is belong to the people and belong to the country, and everyone know that to have the strong society, it require a strong the statistical system. So I think census can provide the answer how very that detailed information at a small area, at each locality of the country can be released and can be used by everyone that really keen to know what's happening in the particular area. So I think the census can really be a venue for everyone to participate and make sure that the data available at a very small area then been used by everyone to how to do the better planning in terms of the social, in terms of the public facilities, and in terms of the security and so forth. And everyone know that.
Yeah, but Uzir, it's very clear that, sorry, Uzir, very clear that you as a professional statistician hold those beliefs, a commitment to open data, but it doesn't seem to be reflected in any of the indices available around open data. Compare Malaysia. Malaysia pales in comparison to regional counterparts, the Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, all well ahead of us in terms of open data. So then the question then is, who is not for open data? If you as a statistician are committed to it, are your political masters not committed to open data?
Yeah, I think everyone knows we are really committed. I think it's not true that we are far behind in terms of the openness. I think if we look at the Malaysia statistical system, we consider as a benchmark for the other countries. So I think if you look at the latest release for the income distribution, we already released the income distribution by district in terms of the pattern of the expenditure. And now we also plan to release the data on the cost of living by a major capital city of the state. So I think a lot of things that in the pipeline, and we believe that the statistic is really important. And we really want to have the very good system. And at the moment, we engage a lot with the other stakeholders. So,
can I just jump in there again? Kazan, in a recent discussion paper by Kazana, no less, they note that Malaysia did not perform well in all established global open data evaluations. That's a summary of a chief conclusion they came to in that discussion paper. How would you respond? This is Kazana.
For example, those days during the early days, we don't have, for example, the macro data at the, for example, at the state level, for example, for the GDP for the state. So at the moment now, we already have the GDP number for the state, and now we are working on the data on the performance of the district level. So I think under the SDG, a lot of the disaggregated data will be released, and very soon we release every district one dedicated, designated publication, and from that we will enhance it every year. Okay. So the thing that the responsibility and also the spirit of data sharing is very important, and a lot of the key statistics is not only can be made available based on the private data collection, but also from the administration record. This is something that we are working on.
Okay. Can I ask you what you think where it needs to be improved? I'm wondering, I mean, are there mechanisms for data to be shared openly with the expert and the public? Where are the gaps? I'm wondering, because it seems that you are committed to open data and to more transparency, but why is it that we're seeing complaints from academia, from researchers, that they don't have access to open data, or sometimes there are barriers like cost?
Yes. At the moment, in the healthcare system of the country, now we develop what we call the statistic data warehouse, and we really want that this statistic data warehouse can be used by as many as possible, and whether the serious user or the public at large. But there are also procedures how to get the service. I think this is something that we communicate with all parties.
Okay, all right, we're going to take another quick break, but more on this issue in just a couple minutes. Stay tuned to Consider This. Thank you so much for staying with Sharaad and I on Consider This. Let's continue our conversation with Uzir Mahidin, Malaysia's chief statistician. He's on the show tonight. Now, I want to ask how the data that's being collected will be used, Uzir, for formulating data-driven policy making. Is it being used to make sure that the policies made at the highest level are on the most accurate data? Who is using this data?
I think if we look at for example, the spirit of the census, the data at the end of the day needs to be used by local authority at the district level as well as the aggregate level. So, for example, we want to look at the performance of every district in terms of the issue on the social, issue on the economy. So the data we pick up. I think the good, the characteristic of the developed country is how the people participation in the public policy. So with a lot of data made available, I guess they will bring the country in better future, where people will pick up this on the availability of the data. So I think this census, I would like to see that everyone participate. And actually, this statistic, like the census, is an opportunity for people to voice out their requirements. And I can see that as the memorandum from the people to the stakeholders. So what the thing that should be done, what the thing that can be improved, what is the opportunity. So I think at the end of the day, we want that this statistic will be provided to all MPs, all the representative communities, so they can know what's happening on the ground.
Uzir, there's a wonderful saying, lies and statistics. It seems that there's data, but there needs to be interpretation. To what extent do you and your organization provide the interpretive framework for this data? To what extent do you work with universities to interpret the data for policymakers or work with policymakers so that the data is understood correctly rather than just being used in a perfunctory kind of manner?
Yes. At this juncture, we don't have very what we call the data chapter. In the future, we want to promoting the data chapter where very important anything that you want to make the decision based on the facts and numbers. I mean, there are some countries where the data is available, but it's not being used to make a decision. So with the data chapter, if there are some misleading in terms of interpretation, I think it's something that is not in good ethics. So I think this in our role as a custodian of national statistical system, we continue to educate people to make sure that people can really understand the statistics. Have to look at the in the totality. Have to look at the time series. What happened in the past? What happened now? What will happen in the future?
So on that note, Uzir, then how political is Malaysia's data?
Say again?
How political is Malaysia's data? Is Malaysia's data disaggregated, politically sensitive data?
I think that the data is colorblind. I think regardless what your ideology, the data will speak up. I think it's very important. The data will tell us what happened in the past, what happened now, what's going to be in the future. So I think if there are some people try to mislead the statistics, I think that can be detected by others. I think it's very important for us to explain in detail what is the limitation, what we call is the metadata of the every statistic we produce.
Okay, well, Dr. Uzir, thank you so much for speaking with us on the show tonight. We really appreciate your time and all the best with Census 2020. It is a challenging year and we wish you and your team the best. That's all we have for you on this episode of Consider This. I'm Melisa Idris.
And I'm Sharaad Kuttan, signing off for the evening.
Thank you so much for watching and good night.